Owl planner. I had this for like 2 seconds and I hated it. I'm gonna be honest. Hi, my name is Nicola and today we're taking an in-depth look into 160 GSM notebooks. We're going to review a total of 8 and we're going to have them from color of paper all the way down to the dots and their packaging. Let's get started. Hey guys, today I am down in my craft room. You can see it is a bit of a mess-a-roo. After our kind of change around in the last couple of weeks. It's nice and warm down here, so I thought it would be a better spot to do this review. Let's get straight into it, and I wanted to talk about some of the notebooks we decided to get for this review. I wanted to review a series of 160 GSM notebooks. I also wanted to caveat this whole review with the fact that I was on the Archer and Olive design team and now I manage the Archer and Olive design team. So I have the luxury of receiving Archer and Olive notebooks for free. So out of all of the notebooks, that is the only one I didn't purchase. However, considering that this is a comparative review, I didn't want that kind of to taint how I felt about all of the notebooks together. And I'm going to give them a rating based on a series of questions that I've gone through, including pen tests, fountain pen tests, watercoloring tests, water pencil tests, and it just depends on kind of where everything landed. So the notebooks we are testing today are the Archer and Olive. My initial thoughts are always positive with Archer and Olive. Amazing customer service, amazing notebooks, amazing paper. It makes me super excited. Then I went with our trusty Scribbles That Matter. This was really interesting because it arrived quite quickly from Amazon, but I was quite surprised that the front page was incorrect. This is a Scribbles That Matter Pro, and on the front page it tells me it's a Starry Night. Minus points already. Then we went on to the Tumbitri Meri. I really liked these originally when I tried the 120 GSM ones. I think they're a great cheap and cheerful notebook for beginners, so I thought this would be a good opportunity to try the 160 GSM as well. The next one we gave a go was the Tekukor. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Really interesting. I found the notebook, yeah, it's definitely interesting. I'm going to go into detail into every single one of them, so watch the space. But yeah, I found it interesting. The one thing that really stuck out to me when I first opened it was how thick the elastic was on the front page. Then I saw one that was 160 GSM new vibe. I hadn't seen it spoken about on Facebook or Instagram before, so I thought let's give that guy a go. And it's the Wordsworth and Black notebook. Really interesting. Was really surprised actually by the quality and by what you were getting with it. So really interested to talk about that one a little bit more. Then onto the Smart Planner. This one was also quite interesting. Huge and super long ribbons, which I found quite interesting, but that's okay. We'll go into those a bit as well. And also really interesting cover pages. Got index and it's got pen tests at the back. Onto the Owl planner. I had this for like 2 seconds and I hated it. I'm gonna be honest. It's by Buke Notebooks. Buke. It started falling apart the minute I took it out of the box. I was like, what is even happening right now? I do not understand. The only saving grace for this one is that it comes with a cute little stencil. That's kind of nice. Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like the whole thing was just really crummy. And it's got like creamy paper, so that doesn't really work for me either. Really like light dots. But again, we'll go into a little bit more detail. And then a new one on the market, which I really wasn't expecting to come up and kind of surprise me with awesomeness, was this one by Maisie Lane Co. It's got my name on the front. How cute is that? Yeah, I was really surprised by this. It really reminded me quite a bit. It has similar paper to Archer and Olive, very smooth and very white. And yeah, it came with a little ruler and some beautiful washi tape. And yeah, I actually really liked it. So I'm going to go through every single one, and I'm going to tell you which I think are great for beginners and which is my favorite. So let's get started. Strap in, it's a long review. You can head down below and kind of skip through to reviews that you want to see specifically. If you want to see, for example, the Scribbles That Matter in, specifically, click on that and head through directly to that. I'm doing the same pen test across all of them. I'm including fountain pens so we can see if there's feathering or bleeding, ghosting, etc. And then obviously this will match a blog post, so you can read if you don't feel like listening to me yak on about these notebooks. You are more than welcome to head over to the blog post and just read through kind of the stuff that I've spoken about today. Spoiler alert, there's a couple in there that I'm really happy with, that I was really surprised with and really happy with. So yeah, let's get started. Before we get started, I thought I would share with you the scores that came from all of the notebooks. These are all the notebooks we're going to go through today. We're going to start with Maisie Lane, then we're going to have Owl, Smart Planner, Scribbles That Matter, Archer and Olive, Tekukor, and Wordsworth, and then Tumbitri Meri. Maisie Lane is a newcomer to the market, and they sent me a box to review. What I really loved about the box is it was so beautifully hand wrapped, and there was beautiful tissue paper all around it and a little thank you card. I thought that was really sweet. I'm not sure if it was for PR, but I got a set of washi tapes which came with the box. That was really cool. But not the focus of this review. The notebook is our focus, and it's beautifully wrapped up in this super cute tissue paper. When you open it up, there is a little ruler, and it is covered in a cute plastic sheath. It's really straightforward and simply wrapped. I really like that about it. There's a little note on the back to say that it has been hand packed. When you open it up, there is a belly band on the notebook. You open it up and there is a welcome page. The paper is bright white. There are 192 pages and obviously 160 GSM. There's a flap at the back to put your goods into, and this notebook retails for $24. When we have a look at the other aspects, they've embossed my name on the front with gold foil. There are 2 ribbons. The boxes are 26 by 38 and they are 0.5 millimeters apart. There is, however, no pen loop on these notebooks, but there is a really cute spine image which I really liked as well, and will show you in the next photo. When you receive your Archer and Olive, it's like receiving a gift. It's beautifully packaged in a white box and comes with the belly band. This belly band comes off and you've got an elastic closure, a pen loop, as well as a cute little ampersand charm at the bottom as part of your 2 ribbon bookmarks. The spaces are 26 by 38 boxes. There is a back pocket, and obviously the dots are 0.5 millimeters apart. As we know, Archer and Olive is on the pricier end at $36, but we'll get into some details as to why that is a little bit later, as well as in the blog. Okay, let's talk Scribbles That Matter. Scribbles That Matter have been on the market for a really long time. Here they come in a lovely box. I got myself the Scribbles That Matter Pro in an A5. The box is really cute with a pen. I didn't realize they were now giving out pens. That's pretty fun. The box has a whole bunch of doodles on, which is pretty cool. Inside's got a little pamphlet around information, and yeah, just really simple oh no, okay, that's ridiculous. This is not a Starry Night, this is a Pro. Still has the key and the index. The spaces here are 0.5 millimeters and 26 by 38 boxes. The paper is bright white and there are 2 ribbons. At the back there is a pen test page, a mindfulness page, and our standard pocket. There is also, oh, that just pretty much almost fell out. That's not ideal. So there is a pen loop, but really badly made. Really disappointed with how Scribbles That Matter have kind of gone a little downhill. Yeah, they used to make this really awesome paper that was 120 GSM and coated, but now they seem to be in a competitive market with the 160 GSM, and they should have just kept swimming in their own lane. I had heard of this notebook on Facebook. Oh, I love that it comes with a little stencil. That's sweet. 160 GSM and 160 pages. It's $11.80, so it's nice and cheap, but the smell is disgusting. It's really an intense smell. I don't love it at all. It smells really chemically. It's kind of fun on the belly band that it's got some really cute things on the belly band. If we open it up, it's a pretty standard notebook. The pages are a little creamier than the rest of the bright white notebooks, and we probably wouldn't have noticed it if it wasn't for the fact that we were reviewing so many. It has a back pocket, a pen loop, and 1 dividing ribbon. It is 26 by 39 boxes down, so an extra box if anybody's interested. The pages are quite nice and thick and pretty smooth as well. This is a notebook I had not known about before. It comes in a lovely little box, and as I take the plastic off, it's really, yeah, I hadn't heard of it before, so I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to try it. It's let's call it $21. It's got 192 pages, and when I opened it up, it seemed a little more off-white than the others, the pages. Again, I probably wouldn't have noticed this if I wasn't assessing so many different notebooks, and you probably would have noticed it if you are new to bullet journaling. It's a good price, I guess, but what I was really surprised about was this really thick elastic closure. There's also no pen loop on this, so this is probably why it scored a little lower, is because it just doesn't come with all the necessities that are pretty awesome in a notebook. Pen loop being one of them, and having the extra thick elastic is odd. There are 3 ribbon closures, a back pocket, and it seems pretty robust. There is a lot packed into this notebook. It comes in a really lovely black cardboard box. It's almost like gift packaging, which is pretty cool. The retail price here is $23.95, and it comes with 220 pages. Alright, I don't love that it's double wrapped in plastic. That's a little bit silly. It's in a special gift box. It doesn't need to be wrapped in plastic. But I do, however, love the stencil ruler. I think that's pretty cool. The double plastic is a bit odd. When we have a look at it, it has a pen loop on the spine. It has an elastic closure. It also has a little pocket on the front page for your ruler, an index, as well as at the back it's got a pen test page, which is pretty cool. It's got 3 ribbons, and it is a total of 26 and 38 boxes. It has a back pocket. The pages are bright white, and there are 120 pages, which is pretty cool if this is a first notebook for you. This notebook ended up scoring a total of 4.9, which kind of shows us that this is a great starter journal for those just starting out. Really simple and has pretty much a little bit of everything. This is another one that came up during my search for 160 GSM notebooks. I hadn't heard of this one before. Oh, wow, the smell is insane. It smells really chemically, and it's actually overwhelming with the smell. As we open it up, it's pretty standard. I quite like this dark kind of insert or inside paper. It's pretty cool. A little bit different from everything else, which I kind of like. I think anything else that, you know, helps you stand out is important. It retails for $25. It has a cute little card around gratitude, a key, and an index. There are 170 numbered pages, and this is one of those where it has, oh wow, hold on, it has the biggest ribbons I've ever seen, and 3 of them. It's bright white paper, and it has an extra box down the bottom, so 39 boxes versus 28. Really nice back pocket, and I like that black material in the back. This is another one I hadn't heard of before. This is the Wordsworth and Black Journal. It comes in a really lovely box, and I quite like that there is like a pull tab for you to open your box with. I think that's pretty cool. Comes beautifully wrapped, so the wrapping and design here is really lovely. It feels really plasticky. The cover feels really plasticky. And when we open it up, it's got a little kind of thing about Wordsworth and Black, obviously, because I hadn't known about them before. It was actually really good for me to read that. The pages are nice and bright and white. It's quite a cheap journal at $20. I'm pretty happy with the cost of this. There is 192 pages, and it comes with a little addition of stickers. There is also a pen loop and an elastic closure and 2 ribbons. It's 26 boxes across and 38 boxes down. Really nifty little journal if you're wanting to get started. We don't know how it fares up to the pen test yet though, so we'll get started with that next. Let's talk about what we're going to use for this pen test. I want to stay consistent, so we are going to use a watercolor pencil. We're going to use some basic watercolor paint. We're also going to use my Lamy fountain pen. We're going to use some highlighters and an acrylograph pen. We're going to use some really juicy pens as well, and some gel pens, some fine liners, absolutely a Sharpie. We're going to use Crayola, a jelly roll. We're going to use some highlighters. We're going to use some juicy pens like a Koi Sakura, another gel pen. We're going to use the Fudenosuke. We're going to use the Karin marker brush pen, and we're also going to use the very juicy Ecoline pen. I'm also grabbing a Tombow pen because obviously everybody loves to use a Tombow in their notebook, so let's use one of those too. Let's get started. It's going to be quite the process, so put your seatbelts on and let's get started. We are going to do the same pen test for every single notebook we have. So we're going to start off with the Scribbles That Matter. We're going to start with the fine tips, and then we're going to go into the highlighters. We're then going to do the gel pens to see how those fare. We want to see if those ghost or if anything happens with those. Our juicy pens, you can see they're super uber juicy. And then we go into some watercolor, so the watercolor pencils. And then we're going to go into the fountain pen, our acrylograph pen, and then finally the Sharpie. We're going to give it a quick dry, and once we've given it a quick dry, let's have a look at what this looks like initially. You can see there is definitely some bleeding from the Karin marker, and you can see there's definitely some bleeding from the Ecoline. That's a little bit disappointing. The Sharpie is kind of ghosting. It's there, but it's not as bad as, say, the Ecoline would be. Overall, it's not too depressing. There isn't too much warping from the watercolor, which is really helpful as well. As we finish off this pen test, you can see there is quite a bit of warping from the watercolor, and there's also quite a bit of bleed through from the really juicy pens and also the Eco line, huge bleed through there, and the Crayola, which is really surprising. The Sharpie is a natural expectation of that to bleed through, but you can definitely see that the paper is not standing up to what we would expect for 160 GSM. The smell permeating off this notebook is mind-boggling. It's actually giving me a headache. And when we look at how this notebook has fared, there is quite a lot of bleeding and quite a lot of ghosting. The Caron markers and the Eco lines are quite evident, and there's definitely ghosting from just basic gel pens and fine liners. I was really surprised by that. There's some warping on the page from the watercolor, and the watercolor didn't blend through so well, and that smell is just, honestly, I can't deal with that smell. So I'm gonna have to say that this is one of my least favorites overall. I actually can't even get over why it smells like this consistently. I don't understand. Even with drying some of the inks on the page, they still bleed through pretty heavily. There's little or no feathering from the fountain pen, but you can definitely see some ghosting. mentioned, I actually really like this notebook. I like the customization, and I like that it's really held up well to the juicy pens, the Sharpie, and also the watercolor. You can see that it is pretty robust. There's very little bleeding, very little ghosting, and I'm gonna have to say the paper is very similar to the Archer and Olive. Well, this is quite an interesting notebook. You can see there's quite a lot of warping from the watercolor, quite a bit of bleed through, and quite a bit of ghosting through the page. It's not exactly what you would expect for 160 GSM notebook paper, but for $20 it's actually not that bad. The dots are infuriatingly smaller than what I originally anticipated, and that's something that definitely brought the score of this one down. I was actually pleasantly surprised with how well this fared. The kind of off-white paper does have a nice feel to it. There is quite a bit of bleeding, as to be expected, and there's a little bit of warping for the watercolor, but not a huge bleed through. I think if you use your watercolor responsibly on these, it'll work really well. And for $21, it's not a bad notebook if you're starting out. Alright, once we dried everything up, let's have a look at how our Archer and Olive is fared. As expected, there is no bleeding, no ghosting, not even with the Karan marker, which is, you know, super juicy. There's very little warping on the watercolor and very little ghosting with the feathering with the fountain pen. I love that there are 120 pages in this notebook. It just makes it feel like there's so many extras. But look at all this bleeding and warping. Not ideal for a newbie because it might get a little bit frustrated, especially if you want to play around or test your watercolors in your notebook. Other than that, it's a pretty robust and standard notebook and highly recommended as a beginner's notebook. I would absolutely love to hear from you if you have any questions with regards to things we should cover off in our next videos. Really look forward to hearing from you, and head over to Instagram and Facebook and give us a like, comment, follow and share. Thank you!